Tonight, I was trying to think of what topic I wanted to present, and I thought, what a better topic to present than starting points. And how many of you have ever read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Well, this is just going to be a refresher for you, pretty much. I think the most important aspect to any starting point is understanding where you're going to end up. Why have a starting point unless you're going to have an absolute destination to where you're going to go? Now, Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the beginning with the end actually amounts to the second habit. The first habit is be proactive, and the third habit is first things first. And he actually has a book called First Things First. And it's an equally good book if you haven't had the opportunity to read it. But I find it fascinating that the begin with the end in mind is in the middle of be proactive and put first things first. In my mind, I think it should absolutely be the first habit, is to begin, the beginning, to end, to look at the end to find out where you're going to start. Because it will vitally affect every decision that you make. From, let's just say, planning a trip, for instance. If you're going to plan a trip or a vacation, first of all, you got to figure out where you're going to go. And then every single decision that you make from that point on will be based upon where you want to end up. How are you going to get there? What vehicles are you going to take? What clothes are you going to take? How long are you going to be there? Who are you going to take with you? So these are all vital questions that need answers to arrive there at the end where you want to go and do so successfully. And so I think, in my mind, begin with the end in mind should be the first habit. But, I guess you've got to be somewhat proactive to start figuring out where you want to go. And then once you got that, you've got to start putting first things first. And figuring out what vehicles you're going to take, whether you're going to fly, drive, take a bus, take a train, whatever. Maybe you have to take a boat. Maybe you want to take a pleasure cruise. Those are all parts of making a decision to where you want to arrive on a trip or a vacation. I think the same thing applies in life. And I took the 7 Habits seminar when I was in Okinawa, Japan. And I think this was the very point that has been the most impacted in my life. In fact, there's been 2 books primarily, I think, in my life that have been very impactful. And the first is the Bible. And then second to the Bible, to me, the most impactful book I've ever read is The 7 Habits. Because it was the 7 Habits that made me ask, what kind of a legacy am I leaving behind? What do I want to end up? And as you may recall, Stephen Covey says, what I'd like you to do is to consider thinking about going to a funeral. And then at that funeral, 4 people are going to speak. 1 representing your family, 1 from friends, 1 from work, and 1 from community, church, organization, group, whatever. And come to find out, the person at the funeral is you. What are these 4 people going to be saying about you? And I started thinking about that. What are people really going to be thinking about me? What are they going to be saying about me? And that made a huge impact in my life. In fact, such a huge impact in my life that last year I gave a speech called Audacity, my icebreaker, because of the audacity that became the answer to the question, what do I want to leave behind? What kind of a legacy do I want to leave for my children? What kind of an environment do I see we are having? And so it made an effect on me to the point that I actually made a decision to run for governor last year. It made an impact on my family. We started having family nights. It made an impact on my church because I started getting more involved. What kind of a legacy am I leaving? What kind of an example am I providing for other people? And a part of that whole process, every one of you have a sheet that's been turned over. If you'll take that sheet right now, one of the important aspects to the whole process of beginning with the end in mind is actually once you decide that process, when you decide where that destination is, then one of the tools to get there is to create a personal mission statement. And through my reading and research, I just jotted down a few ideas and notes about creating a personal mission statement. And basically what the personal mission statement becomes is a map to achieving your end goal. You first decide what that goal is going to be, beginning with the end in mind. And then, like any good trip, we get a map. Well, in road maps, we know that they are already there. But each one of us are individuals, different from one another. We have individual likes, dislikes, tastes, skills, abilities. And so a part of the mission statement is going to be an absolute, personalized map for yourself. Your personal statement is not going to be effective for me. First of all, our destinations are probably going to be somewhat different. And so what you need to do is take some time, and this could be a period of weeks, days, even months, to work out your personal mission statement. In fact, Stephen Covey says that he goes back very frequently. In fact, I was just reading last night where he says he had taken a bicycle ride, and at the end of the bicycle ride, he went past this beach, and he thought, oh, what a beautiful setting. So he pulled over, broke out his notebook, and sat there on the beach for a couple hours and reviewed his mission statement and did some updates, did some revising. And so, as we go along life, our map is going to somewhat change based upon where we see the end goal being. And of course, along the way, we're going to have to establish some roles and goals. What are my roles? I've got the role of a father. I've got the role of a son. I've got the role of a husband. I've got the role in the political world. I'm the chairman for the Constitution Party. What are my roles that I am fulfilling here? And how does that apply to the issues and the items towards building my mission statement? And so I give all these to you. There's obviously a myriad of other questions that weren't asked in here, but I thought it just would be a good handout to just say, this would be an opportunity to revisit some of what your goals, what some of your end desires and achievements that you want to make. It would be a good way to kind of look at it and give you some ideas of where to create, or how to create a map. And so, with these issues in mind, when I attended this seminar, I had got to the point where about the third or fourth time that I got there, I felt like I was in an AA meeting. I was sitting there, and of the habits, every single one of them, I was like an alcoholic in it. I was just absolutely deficit from the principle that they were talking about. And seriously, I got to the point where I'd be like, hi, my name is Randy, and I'm deficit in this particular habit. And, it got to be the mark. I'm telling you, it was just a phenomenon for me that I felt like I was actually in an Alcoholics Anonymous, where I'm getting just such tremendous help. I'm getting group feedback, and I'm learning ideas that my loser friends told me, you'll just live your life and you'll arrive where you're supposed to. Totally opposite from, developing a plan and knowing where you're going. And so, with this in mind, I think that the most important thing to understand is that beginning with the end in mind is the absolute most crucial point to a starting point, because it will determine where you start. It will determine every decision made from point A to point B.